Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us today. Greetings from Morocco. We're still over here on vacation, but continuing to work because getting the word out to you guys is more important than just a vacation, I should say. A lot going on in the world right now. President Trump continuing to fill out his cabinet and heading to office in less than 2 months now as we enter December and put Thanksgiving in the rearview mirror. I hope you guys all had an excellent Thanksgiving with your family and your loved ones. We're getting some news out as we pick back up here and get back to the swing of things after the holiday weekend. Elon Musk is reportedly saying the IRS is now going to be under direct audit by his Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. So some interesting news on that corner. The IRS, the folks who do the auditing of us Americans. And it seems over the past few years, it's been primarily conservatives who have been audited by this organization, or I should say targeted by this organization. Some other news out this week, Democrat mega donor Reid Hoffman is reportedly considering leaving the United States after that decisive Donald Trump victory back in November. So we hope that he plans on doing so and considers packing his stuff up and getting the hell out of here. The DNC has also reportedly fired approximately 2/3 of its staff since the election. So talk about leaving their folks high and dry. If those folks want some new jobs, they should come on over to the RNC and make their pledge of allegiance to the party of love and MAGA and America and the party of prosperity. So today's episode is going to be focused on something that we talk about pretty much every day here on this show, but we're going to do a special show on it alone, and it's distrust and dishonesty in the media of today that we all watch every single day when we turn on our television or go online and read, news on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News or you name it. But we're all affected by it. Dishonesty in the media is at ultra high levels. And Americans are just not trusting them anymore. Polling from multiple organizations show that the dishonesty and distrust in the media is also at an all-time high since they started keeping track in the 1970s. So our guest today is Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit. The gatewaypundit.com should be one of your only news sources that you should go to because it's got everything you need. Honest reporting, true reporting, with no BS, right to the point, everything sourced, not like reading from CNN.com or MSNBC.com, the Gateway Pundit. Jim, it's great to have you back with us here on the Great America Show. I want to start with something first. Gateway Pundit, I give you guys credit every single day, and I don't just do it because you guys are friends of ours. I do it because you guys do an excellent job, honestly. And you're doing a job that a lot of people aren't doing in this media in times of today. But the people now, Jim, I think are starting to wake up. The viewers, the listeners. I'm going to let you get into it a little bit. The increase in traffic you guys see on your website consistently. First, I want to go into and get your thoughts on something that I think is very interesting. And it's the American people's trust in the media. It's continually staying at, Jim, all-time lows. If you look here at the chart we have up, only 31% of people have a great deal and fair amount of trust, according to this Gallup polling in the media this year. If you look back at 1972, at one of its high points, we can go to 1976, where it was at 72%. So now we've fallen off, Jim, more than 50% because Americans just don't trust these folks anymore and the job that they're doing. I want to get your thoughts as someone who wakes up every single day and gives the news to the American people on how far we've fallen from 1972, we'll use.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? I saw a poll a couple years ago. I still keep this and pull it out every once in a while, and it's not just that the American media is distrusted; it's that American media is actually the most distrusted media in the world, and out of like 50 countries, I have this old article, which is not a surprise. But I think two big things uh, uh, made this happen, made the numbers continue to drop. One was everyone in the country knew that Joe Biden was impaired. Everybody knew that he was having a very difficult time. That was very apparent when he was running for president, and ever since he became president, it was only the media that was still pushing that he was competent. And they did that all the way up to that debate to where they just couldn't do it anymore. And then they act surprised, right? But the rest of the public, there was already polls out that said like 60% knew that Joe Biden was mentally impaired. So they were the only ones that were surprised. And so they're always the last one, to for something to click with. And that was despicable what they've done to the public with that. I think the other thing, of course, then was COVID. When we see all the different rules and regulations they had, and now today we find out that I don't know if there was anything they said that was actually accurate that helped the situation. So so they've lost a lot of credibility, as they should, and they continue even to this day to continue to push this leftist narrative. And I think people are so onto it today. It's so apparent.
It's the deceptiveness, Jim, is at a whole nother level. The thing that is so mind-blowing to me is that the stupidity of it all. Jim, they lied to their own people. They don't just lie to us who are on the right, who are going to be ending up on the right side of history, I should say, but they lied to themselves. We find out this week from Kamala Harris, one of her campaign folks, David Plouffe, on a podcast, that her internal numbers, Jim, never showed her beating Trump. But yet, now that was no secret, I'm sure, inside the campaign. I'm sure these folks told all these left-leaning pollsters and all these people who do these polling for these Democrats that were the case. Yet, Jim, what we saw was consistently these polls coming out. We saw the one that came out, I think it was the night before the election in Iowa, where it was Kamala Harris up, I think, 11 points or 7 or 11 points, something like that. That pollster has since retired since putting out that poll. What a way to go out, Jim. What a legacy to have. But you continue to see from these massive polling organizations, from folks like the New York Times, Siena, who 538 says they do the greatest polling out there. Harvard Harris, actually, you can go down the list, Jim, of all these deceptive polls that we saw coming out of the election. And nobody says a word because 1 week before the election, Jim, they all came out and they put out the correct polls, which is what the numbers were the whole time. They knew what they were. I had Mark Mitchell on the show almost every single week leading up to the election of Rasmussen. And Mark doesn't get enough credit, which is why I give him this audience of millions of people to come out and tell the story of what me and him were talking about for months before the election. His numbers, Jim, spot on, down to the popular vote. I think he missed the popular vote by 0.3%. Nostradamus, I don't think, could have done something like that. So you have David Plouffe coming out now, Jim, saying, we never saw Harris up in our own internal polling. Where was the disconnect? Why didn't these people want to come out and be honest?
It's disgusting. And I think a lot of Republicans have been saying for ages that the Democrats use these pollings, as a tool. And we found out today that that's exactly correct. David Plouffe, one of Obama's top men in his campaign and one of his top campaign people, comes out and admits that these polls for Kamala were, she was always in the tank. She was always underwater, and but they didn't tell us that. And so, of course, this is exactly what we always thought, and now they got caught.
Yeah, and you know what? People are starting to, I think, wake up and realize, even down to these folks. When I worked at Fox News, one of our gold standards we used, Jim, was Axios. Axios was always accurate when it came to reporting news. Reuters was another one. They run news wires. AP was another one. For folks who don't know what news wires are pretty much breaking news that comes in over a wire and you get the news first. And they were excellent. I mean, some of the best out there. Reuters the best. Axios another one. Over the last few years, Jim, I've seen a massive shift, especially from Axios, which is very disappointing. Putting out more opinion pieces than just fact. Axios this week put out a piece that says, behind the curtain, the big meteor era is over. Jim, what kind of shift in viewership, in readership, in time spent on your site have you seen, we'll say this election cycle compared to last election cycle or a past number of years?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty gutsy report that they put out on Axios, because that's a condemnation of their own reporting.
Right.
For us as an independent media outlet, we've seen our numbers grow every year, except one out of 20. We just had 20 years that we've been around Gateway Pundit, and so our numbers this year will reach a billion page visits. We'll have an average of right now we're averaging 3 million readers a day, page views. So it's very respectable. And here's the thing too, that I have to add this, and that is that we're also one of the most censored outlets on the internet today. And we can prove that because we've been in a lot of lawsuits. They always pick us to be in the lawsuit because they know that we've been censored. We were at a Supreme Court case this past year. But I think what it is people tend to, it doesn't matter what culture or country you're in, people are going to try to find the truth. It's just human nature. And so they're going to stay away from some of this garbage that the leftist media has been putting out. And that's why their numbers are going way, way down. When I started out, I think, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was one of these storied newspapers in the country, one of the top newspapers. And today I think we're 6-7 times larger than they are. But it's because they put out filth and lies and garbage. And then at the same time, they hurl insults at us and other independent media and conservative media and accused us of being the fake news. And I think people catch on, and that's why they continue to come to Gateway Pundit, even though it's not easy to come to Gateway Pundit, because you're not going to find us on Facebook anymore. You're not going to find us. It's even difficult on Twitter sometimes. So you have to take those extra steps, but people are willing to do that to find the truth. And so I think that's a great testament for our reporting. And of course, it says everything about the media, the left-wing media, which is just being destroyed at this time. I think they really were just bludgeoned this year. And I think, of course, the biggest event was when Joe Biden's fell apart in that debate, which none of us were surprised about, but the media was, and some left-wing hacks who believe what the media says.
Axios points out in this article, this is referring to the Joe Rogan interview that he did. Former President Donald Trump, which is now President-elect Donald Trump, they should correct, reached way more potential male voters with this 3-hour conversation with Joe Rogan that was over 33 million views. And that was just after the weekend, Jim. 33 million views, unbelievable. Than he could have with the dozens or more appearances on Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. All three cable news networks skew very old viewership with the median age ranging from 67 to 70. Now, for people who don't follow television ratings, the average we'll say Jesse Waters primetime is probably pulling 2.5 million viewers a night. So to put that in perspective, with Joe Rogan doing 33 million in just a week, I don't know what the number is now on the episode, but it doesn't matter. Donald Trump's coming back to the White House. But legacy media is completely dead. I mean, you look at the ratings. I look at them every single day on this show, Jim, and I'm pulling higher numbers than MSNBC and CNN are pulling on their networks. Now, that's quite honestly, I tell you, it's pathetic because we run a very low budget, small team here. There's a small team of us who do this show. And we get the news out, Jim. We're able to record an episode in 45 minutes. We can have it out 45 minutes just after that. We can do it live if we want to do it live. We try to stay away from live because I have a problem with cursing that I can't control. But, we're able to run these operations, Jim, at almost no cost. Now, go look at someone like Fox News or CNN, and they're running multi-billion-dollar organizations, Jim, MSNBC, CNN, and they're getting absolutely clobbered. Producers making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They can't even keep up with, I think, advertising to pay their producers and their staff. It's really insane. The shift, though, I think, is taking a bigger turn towards the right side, I guess we can say. Donald Trump Jr. announcing on a podcast this week with Michael Knowles, notice I said podcast, that after speaking with Elon Musk and his father, they might be interested in getting rid of some of the mainstream media in the White House press briefing room who are planning to cause a ruckus, and bringing in some podcasters, Joe Rogan, probably among the few, various news organizations like yourself. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's a great idea. I'd love to add this too. Back when Trump won in 2016, Gateway Pundit, I spoke with the Trump campaign. It was such a small campaign that I could reach out and talk to people in the campaign. And after Trump won, I said, "Hey, we'd love to have a spot in the White House press room," and they thought, "Hey, that's a good idea." So we announced that, and we went forward with that. And let me tell you, we were like the first wave in a battle. They just slaughtered us. These people were the most despicable people. We had no idea of what we were stepping into, and I assume it'll be the same way if they intend to move forward with what they're doing. But we were alone at the time, and they assaulted our reporter. They verbally abused him all the time. One time, they were just awful to him. And these were just fellow reporters, and it was disgusting. These weren't good people at all. So I assume they're going to treat anyone who comes into their fiefdom with the same type of animosity that they did with us. But I think it's great. I am talking also. Here's a bit of news. Chanel Rian from OAN last time Trump was in, she got tired of the fact that these people were just giving Trump a hard time. Trump did some amazing things. We all know that. Amazing things that got no credit because every time they held a press conference, they'd be, screaming about Russia, which was a complete lie now. We know every bit of that was a lie. And so Chanel Rian started this new media outlet at the White House, and we were part of that. And she's also pushing to do something like that again. And I think that's a great idea because Americans deserve, and you know this, John, Americans deserve to have both sides. Yeah. And one thing also that I've noticed, because this is very close to me. We went through hell having a reporter inside and have him be so abused. But I was just going to say that it's going to be interesting to see how they take this, and it won't be easy though. It won't be easy at all.
The good news is people like us, Jim, we have no bosses, right? We don't answer to anybody. Now, I answer to an audience, and Lou's wife, who oversees the show, Debbie, who's a great person, she's more conservative than I am. So I have no issues there. And back on the Gateway Pundit, I had no idea what the Gateway Pundit was until I started working for Lou. And one of Lou's demands to everyone who worked on his show team was, when you get your morning stories before our editorial meeting, you are to read the Gateway Pundit. So everyone on our staff was mandated to go ahead and read the Gateway Pundit. And I'm like, what the heck what the hell is he making us read here? And, it turned out it's the first thing I open to when I wake up in the morning. Gateway Pundit and the Daily Mail are two of my favorite things to read because you get honesty. I mean, the Daily Mail has done an absolutely amazing job as well. I have to give them credit. They've turned the corner, and they do a very good job when it comes to news. Gateway Pundit does news and a little bit more editorial, a little bit more politics. The other thing you had mentioned was reaching out to the Trump campaign. What people don't realize, Jim, if you're just a good, honest person, these people are extremely accessible. I can pick up the phone right now and call Margot Martin, Trump's assistant. She answers the phone. She'll text me back right away. I mean, these are the most accessible people, and they don't ask for much. You look at guys like Piers Morgan. I saw him tweet out something the other day. President Trump called him to speak. Piers Morgan's not President Trump's friend. He's a bad person. But it just goes to show you, if you do right, and you don't have to be on his side, because Piers Morgan's not on his side. If you just report honestly, they give you a fair shot. And that's what these people don't realize. The Caitlin Collins of the world. That, Jim, they all want to save the day. They want to be saviors, and they want to get Trump. I have to break it to them, Jim. Nobody is getting Trump. Tish James couldn't get Trump. What's the whale down in Fulton County? What the hell is her? Fannie Willis couldn't get Trump. Alvin Bragg couldn't get Trump. Jack Smith and $50 million couldn't get Trump. Robert Mueller and $30 million couldn't get Trump. Michael Cohen, his own attorney, couldn't get Trump. These people are not going to save the day, Jim. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but President Trump is probably one of the most law-abiding citizens out there. When you look at it in the grand scheme of things, over $100 million, Jim, has been spent into getting him. And now we look at the end of the day, and there's absolutely nothing. We have to take a quick break. We're going to come back and continue this conversation with Jim Hoft of the great Gateway Pundit. President Donald Trump's favorability just keeps on soaring, hitting all-time highs as he's set to take the White House in less than 2 months. Also, interesting story this week, some of President Trump's cabinet members are being attacked by the Marxist left. We're going to take that up with Jim Hoft. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
All right, folks, we're back. We're talking with the Gateway Pundits, Jim Hoft. Jim's on the other side of the world from me. We're still broadcasting out of Morocco, Marrakesh, Morocco, and Jim's over in good old America, getting ready for Donald Trump to come back to the White House. Jim, the favorability of Donald Trump was pretty high before he won re-election, which probably has something to do with him winning the popular vote and getting the most Republican votes in history. I would probably even argue with you, Jim, he got the most votes in history of the country. And people may ask me, what are you talking about? And I'll just say, go back and look at 2020, those 81 millions for Joe Biden. And you go back and you look at the trend of Democrat votes over the past few years, and it looks like that, and then 2020 like that, and then back down. So I'll even argue with you that he probably got the most votes in the history of the country. But his favorability, Jim, nonetheless, the latest polling out from The Hill with Emerson College, 54% favorability. That's up from 48% just before the election. I mean, is he doing everything right, or is he doing everything right?
Well, how about that? That's amazing, and that's wonderful to see. I compare that to when he went in the first time, and how they were bludgeoning him, and they made up all this Russia crap. Yep. And they released this dossier right before he was inaugurated. I went to that inauguration in 2016, and it was violent. The left was out in force. Yep. They were all screaming about Trump being a puppet. And then the next day after the inauguration, they had the Pussy March, they called it. Yep. Million women out there, and it was all just complete delusion, which is really, I think, what people are starting to see is that the arguments of the left are just delusional. And I think enough people woke up to that this year. Trump isn't a threat to women. He's not a threat to abortion. He said, he wants to bring that to the states. He didn't say he wanted to get rid of abortion. Everything they said about this guy has basically been exaggerated or just an outright lie. And I think people are catching on. And you know what's interesting as far as his approval rating? When you see all of these videos, blacks, whites, Chinese, doing the Trump dance. Oh my goodness. I mean, he's moving into culture now in a way that he hasn't since before he ran for president, right? And he's very cool right now. It's very cool to be a Trumpian. And, thanks a lot. That goes to Elon and Joe Rogan and some of the other guys. It's a different feel for Trump right now. I'm going to be going to the inauguration in January, and I just don't think the left has the same oomph behind them their lies aren't working as much because people know what Trump's about. They know. I love this. We have a reporter, Kara Casanova. She went to the Bronx this year. She talked to these people. Are they going to vote for Trump? And they said, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump because I used to have $20 in my pocket when he was president. And I liked having $20 in my pocket. And, doesn't that say everything about who Trump was, what his leadership was, how successful the country was? And so, yeah, I think it's a huge sea change for Trump this year.
Yeah. You mentioned 2016. I was there for that inauguration as well. I mean, I watched them light Larry King's limo on fire. I walked right past it as they were lighting it on fire. I watched them smash the windows of Bank of America and Starbucks. And, at that time I was young. I was just out of college, and I was trying to process exactly what was going on, because at that point I had been in politics only for a short period of time. And I got invited to the inauguration by a friend who was working in the campaign. And I couldn't quite fathom what the hell was going on. And then later that night, I was fortunate enough to be invited to go to one of Trump's balls that he was holding. And I called my father up, and I was living in Florida at the time. And I said, Dad, you want to go to the ball? He goes, absolutely. He jumped on a plane from New York. I jumped on a plane from Florida, and we met. And I'll never forget our car getting stopped, our Uber getting stopped in the middle of the road by protesters right before getting to, I think it was the convention center, the Walter, whatever the hell it was, the DC Convention Center, and these lunatics, Jim, stopping us from going into the city. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? The other thing you had mentioned was the march that the women did after the inauguration. Now we're seeing a new thing. You've got some of these women coming out and saying they will not have sex with men until Trump is out of office. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is wrong with you? First of all, you look at some of these women anyway, and it seems that the case is probably that they weren't going to have it anyway. But that aside, I mean, how psychologically sick have these people gotten, Jim, that the Whoopi Goldbergs of the world, the Rosie O'Donnells of the world. By the way, Rosie looks sick, like sickly, like there's something wrong with her. The Mark Cubans of the world, another one who looks sickly. Rachel Maddow Light. I mean, how much further left do you think these people can go? Do you think they've hit the point where they've hit the wall?
I think it's very interesting. People like Bill Maher and others who are actually pushing back against the far left. Although, to be honest, he was the one who drove them there.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
He's the one who led them to this promised land of craziness. Now he's pushing back, and I just think that's really interesting. I think they've really lost it. They pushed too far. The American public don't want to have anything to do with what they're pushing, the trans kids. We have another website, Gateway Hispanic. The Hispanic community has no desire to send their kids to school and have them little boys coming back saying they want to be a little girl. No desire in that community for something like that. And I think that's something that the American people are starting to push back. I've never seen it like this. In 20 years that we've been in reporting, I've never seen this pushback against the cancel culture, against the leftist culture who have dominated for decades now, like we're seeing today. People are just sick of it, and they've seen how destructive it is, and they've had enough, I believe.
Yeah, you mentioned a bunch of the Hispanic vote, the transgender issue that we've seen. I have a lot of friends a lot of Spanish friends and Muslim friends and friends of different cultures. And in 2016, when I started supporting Trump, I'd get pushed back. You're a racist. He's a racist. He's a racist. And I can't tell you, Jim, since that time in 2016, how many people have reached out to me, black friends as well, telling me, you were right all along. You were right. And the overwhelming majority of them, I have gay friends who in 2016 didn't want to be friends with me anymore because they all of a sudden thought I was anti-gay. And I'm like, I've been friends with you since we were in high school. I went to college with one of them. And, you don't want to be friends with me anymore. And I said, that's fine. I don't care. There's no love lost. I have no heart to begin with. But, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what's wrong with these people? I used to I had this friend who was gay, and I said, I don't care that you're gay. That's your life. You live it. Just don't push it on me. And that's the mantra I've always lived by. You live your life. I live my life. We cohabitat, and that's it. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't come down to people knowing if you're gay or straight, because it makes no difference, right? You still live your life. I still live my life, and that's it. But the way that it's become, Jim, is the Democrats have made it that way. They want to exploit the issue to try to push people who are on the conservative side, the religious side, to come in and say, boom, boom, boom. But it's not like that. You see, churches that are accepting of it now. So in 2016, you saw this massive hysteria that Trump was going to, it was Mike Pence. He was going to electrocute the gays to make sure that you weren't gay anymore. It turns out Mike Pence, I don't like the guy. Some refer to him as Judas, but it turns out Mike Pence didn't do that. And it turns out Donald Trump didn't really care if you were gay or not. And as a matter of fact, they have something now called the Log Cabin Republicans, who I think Rick Grinnell is very in tune with. And I think we've got now probably more gays supporting Donald Trump than you had in Kamala Harris in this last election. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's been a very difficult year for them because they've seen now, since the election, the number of blacks who voted for Trump, the number of Hispanics that went for Trump, the number of black men that went for Trump.
Yeah.
It's hard to call them racist when you're talking to the black male community. Right. And of course, I think gays too have crossed over, and another ethnic group, the Jewish population. Yeah. They went through a huge transition this past year because of the October 7th attacks. Yep. And the left leaving them there, abandoning them, and immediately siding with Gaza and Hamas after that horrible attack. And so, I think it's been very difficult for them because they can't play their typical racist, sexist games and putting people in all these different, groups that they like to do.
You mentioned the October 7th attack. And I said it on the show to many people, John McLaughlin in particular, who was doing polling on it. If the Jewish vote isn't like 95% for Donald Trump, I'm going to be sick to my stomach. And I am sick to my stomach. It makes absolutely no sense. Joe Biden has managed to do something, Jim, that I don't think I've ever seen anyone in politics do. He's hated by the Jews and he's hated by the Palestinians. I mean, he put himself on the Palestinian side in the first place, and then he shifted over and he put himself on the Jews' side. And then somewhere along the way, he pissed both of them off. In politics, Jim, it's very, very hard to piss off both sides. Joe Biden has managed to do it to levels I've never seen before. I want to turn to something else that happened this week, and it's the Marxist left getting sicker and sicker by the day. A few members of Trump's transition team and cabinet members that are soon to be confirmed, hopefully, getting swatted over the weekend. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who's going to be the ambassador to the UN, got a call as her and her husband were driving home from Saratoga County from Washington that there was a bomb threat at their residence. Congressman Lee Zeldin, another one of Trump's nominees to run the EPA, a pipe bomb sent to his house with some sort of pro-Palestinian themed message. Lee Zeldin, obviously a Jewish former member of Congress. It seems that these people now, Jim, are hitting a new level of highs, but I don't think it's our same old Marxist left agitators we've seen in the past. I think we're seeing now people who are a little bit more calculated, a little bit who are more professionally trained, I think is probably the right way to say it. What is your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a scary thought there. I think, when I hear about the swatting, I think they need to make the punishment for that more stringent. Because these are very dangerous crimes. It seems to happen more and more all the time. And we're seeing even children doing this, right? Yeah. We've had, these serial swatters, and you find out it's some crazy kid who's still in high school. But the punishment has to be, obviously they need to spend a little more time in prison than they are right now, because it's very serious. And I think that's horrible. What's happening to some of these people? They have enough pressure on them. They don't need to have these, they assume they're fake, swatting, but who knows? The left has become very violent. We've seen Donald Trump survive two different attempts on his life that we know of. Maybe there's more, but I think the left is getting very violent, and there's a lot of people who are very desperate. I think that the Chinese, the Iranians, and others who are out there. So Trump is in a very dangerous spot. God protect him.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We're going to take one more quick break here. We're talking with Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit. When we return, I want to take up some foreign policy stuff. Apparently this week, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, after a little bit of time, somehow managed to broker a peace deal between Lebanon and Israel. It's so interesting to me, Jim, that after Donald Trump was elected president, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris all of a sudden able to broker some sort of peace deal. I also want to take up President Trump announcing 25% tariffs on day one for Canada and Mexico if they don't get their damn act together and close these damn borders from human trafficking and from drug trafficking. We're coming right back with Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit. Stay with us, folks.
Because of your overwhelming support, our $14.88 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing, including my classic standard MyPillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
Folks, we're back. We're talking with Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit. And as I said earlier in this program, every morning I wake up, it's the first thing I do before I even have coffee, thegatewaypundit.com, thegatewaypundit.com. It's literally laid out for you easier than any news site. You get on nice, beautiful pictures with the lead story. You click on it. Fact-based stuff there. No opinion-based stuff. It's all fact. Jim, I want to talk about somehow now Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are all of a sudden foreign policy experts, peacemakers, brokering peace deals across the way over in Lebanon between Lebanon and Israel. How are they able to get this thing done? Why couldn't Donald Trump get this done?
Yeah, it's an amazing story, isn't it? And by the way, Joe Biden, this man of peace, right, who just is sending $24 billion more dollars to Ukraine, and he's on his way out the door. He's allowing them to use U.S. long-distance missiles to fire into Russia at will. Absolute insanity. If what's interesting about that story, John, is that the Washington Post has it very clear. It's right in their headline. That Israel is preparing to have this ceasefire with Lebanon. But then you read the paragraph underneath and it says, an Israeli government minister discussed a proposal with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. and Jared Kushner was there. And then and that was before he traveled to the White House to tell him what's going on. So, of course, this was Donald Trump, another peace agreement by Donald Trump. Talk about the president of peace. Trump has now brokered peace deals around the world. And this is one of those things, he never got any credit for that, for the Abraham Accords he had with Israel and several Arab countries. And now here he is brokering another peace deal. And the Biden administration, Kamala and Joe Biden, both putting out tweets congratulating themselves for this, remarkable deal that they brokered with between Israel and Lebanon. So again, it's just you have to read between the lines to get the full truth there.
Hey, Kamala Harris put out a video. I'm not going to go ahead and play it for the audience because Kamala is in our rearview mirror. She's no entity of anybody. She makes no difference to anybody. So I'm not going to give her the spotlight and make you people listen to it. But she put out a video after the deal, and she, drunk as a damn skunk, said, Joe, don't let anyone tell you you can't do what you want to do. You're still the president, this, that. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this video and I'm going, what the hell is this woman's deal? She's going to plan to run for president again in 2028 or governor of California. God help those people. And she's still running her mouth saying this stupid crap. Drunk as a skunk, clear as daylight. I want to turn to something else. Trump's team officially signed a transition agreement with Joe Biden with the White House to formalize the transfer of power. but it will be privately funded, and they will not use government technology or government buildings. And that's a call on the Trump side. And it makes you wonder if they learn their mistakes from 2016. You remember what they did to Michael Flynn with the lead up to the election, the wiretapping on President Trump, Trump Tower wiretap. People told Trump he was crazy when he put out a tweet one day and said, I was wiretapped by the FBI. But I think this is the right move, right, Jim. I mean, even at the cost on Donald Trump's dime, to ensure his people are safe and nobody's set up. What do you think?
I think it's a brilliant move. I think it's very sad that he has to do this.
Yeah.
You know, who thought we'd be this at this place in America today? But of course he has to. And you know, there was another thing. They gave Trump a briefing before he came in last time, and they kept things from him, James Comey, and they didn't. You know, James Comey then came over in January and spoke with Trump before he was inaugurated, and talked about this Russia thing. And Trump had no idea what the hell he was talking about, because Trump had nothing to do with it. This was all, you know, fabricated by the FBI and Barack Obama and others high up in his administration, paid for by Hillary Clinton. This dossier that came out. Yeah. So, you know, good for Trump for doing this, but it is a shame. It's a damn shame that that's where this country is today. I do hope that the people that he's put in place are able to do some house cleaning. We're still waiting to hear who the FBI chief will be. That's going to be very important, because we need somebody in there who has the guts to clean it out. That's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, there are a few people that have been named to the cabinet that I'm a little bit worried about just based on their past. And I'm going to reserve my judgment like a good American until they're sworn in and they make their first mistake. It's giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's the same thing the great Lou Dobbs would want me to do. It's the same thing that he would do. So we'll reserve judgment and hope that these people, the two or three of them who are highly questionable, in my opinion, their loyalty to Trump, of course, in the past, because he needs loyalists. You know, there's no other way to put it, Jim. The mainstream media will say, you know, I'm crazy for saying that, but he needs loyalists. He brought in these bureaucrats in the first term, and look what happened to him. The John Kellys of the world wrote a book, made a lot of money. The Reince Priebuses of the world, who's now come around, all of a sudden he's a Trump guy again. The Mick Mulvaney's of the world, Kelly, if I missed him, the idiots that he had in the Joint Chiefs. I mean, all these people, bureaucrats, and they snaked him at every single turn. They tried to set him up to say things and do things and all this crazy stuff. You had what's his name? The fellow who was talking with China, who, you know, said, don't worry, I'll make sure he doesn't.
Milley.
Mark Milley, right. Going out there saying things like that. That's treasonous. So I think we're going to see retribution, I hope, because it's well-deserved. And I say this every single day. In case the FBI is listening, I don't want them to break the law. I don't want them to recreate the law. I don't want them to create any new laws. I want them to follow the law, Jim. Very simple. These people who went after Trump, highly partisan, highly illegal, witch hunts, selective prosecution, that's all illegal, Jim. I want them to go out and I want them to investigate it. Some of Trump's folks who he's surrounded himself with now, I think, are pulling no punches. One of them, Tom Homan. Putting sanctuary cities on notice, requesting, and this is a story from the Gateway Pundit, folks, gatewaypundit.com, thegatewaypundit.com. He requests the DOJ to charge officials with obstruction and harboring for shielding illegal immigrants. So you've got guys like big old Jay Pritzker out in Illinois. You've got the I think it was the mayor of Denver, somewhere out in Colorado, saying he'll protect these illegals. You're not coming to get them from them. I mean, what do you see? How do you see this play out, Jim?
I don't think it's going to be easy. It wasn't easy last time. And Trump had to somehow work around it. And he did a remarkable job. By the time he left office, the illegal immigration coming into the country was at an all-time low for like 20, 30, 40 years. So he'll figure out a way, but I don't think it's going to be easy for him, just like it was last time. But he's much more wise on what he's walking into and what to expect, I believe. Yeah.
He's also, I think he's getting ahead of the curve now, and he's putting these countries on notice. He's putting Canada on notice. A little old Justin Trudeau, who's just a little weasel of a man, a sad excuse of a man, I should say, and the newly elected president of Mexico, telling them on day one he's putting a 25% tariff on all products from Mexico and Canada until the alien invasion stops, until they secure their own borders. They did it the first time, so there's no excuse. Mexico secured their southern border as soon as Trump started threatening AMLO, Manuel Lopez Obrador, and the fentanyl that pours into this country. And people are going crazy on Twitter. I probably spend too much time on Twitter, but people saying you're going to start paying $4 per avocado now because 75% of them are brought from Mexico. That's fine. I'd rather not eat avocados, Jim, or I'd rather pay $4 an avocado than deal with illegals coming into this country in masses like they are. What are your thoughts on the latest tariff push? I don't think 25% is high enough, Jim.
I've heard other people say that too. But I think it has to be done. It's, what's happened the last 4 years is Joe Biden, it was predetermined. They wanted to destroy the country. You can't continue to have this just wide open border and people just walking across in caravans. And then they're given all of these goodies to say, spread them across the country. That has to stop. You can't have a country when that's going on. It never, of course, got enough attention in the media, but, we've been following it and others, of course. It has to stop. Trump's right on. And, I have a friend who's lost 2 children from fentanyl. It's time that we push back, and Trump is the one person who can do it. It's amazing, isn't it? I don't know why those things are so hard for everybody else to see, because it's something I think every American wants. And so many Americans today know people like I do who've lost children to this drug epidemic. And so Trump's doing the right thing, of course. And, we'll see how it goes for him.
I often say on this show, Jim, because I don't think this gets enough coverage, and you don't hear anybody else talking about it. We've lost more people from drug overdoses, from drugs that have come from Mexico and China. First China through the border at Mexico. We've lost more people in this country to deaths than we've lost in any war we've fought overseas for the last quarter of a century, from Afghanistan to Iraq. And I'm not, trying to justify those lives lost overseas at all. But what I am trying to justify is the fact that we've had no problem spending billions of dollars over there and sending our troops over there to go fight other people's wars in the Middle East. Yet we have a wide open border with these Mexicans and Chinese sending these drugs into our country. These people, in my eyes, Jim, they're killing Americans. They're terrorists. They should be designated as terrorist organizations. And what do you do to terrorists? You kill terrorists. So I don't think Donald Trump, and I don't think he will be this time, as lackadaisy as he was. Reportedly, last administration, he wanted to send missiles in and blow up the drug silos and factories in Mexico. I think that's an excellent idea, and I think he should have done it the first time. What's Mexico going to do about it? Are they going to come back to us and try to start a war with us over it? No, you should be happy because we're doing what you can't do because your people are compromised. The presidents of Mexico, their politicians, every single damn one of them, Jim, is compromised. And I mean, it's understandable because these cartel members go to kill their families. They kill members of their family, their friends, their animals, things like that. So they really have no choice. But if there's a war that should be fought, it should be fought with Mexico because enough is enough, Jim. What's your thoughts on that proposition?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, this has to stop. And you're absolutely right. This is what they've done to this country. How can these politicians just sit back? Again, why is Trump the only one that sees this? And, just like I brought up earlier, Joe Biden is pushing to get $24 billion to Ukraine before he leaves office. I remember when Trump was in the first time and they want to give him $4 or $5 billion to build a border wall. That was too much for them. That was too much for Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. And so, it's going to be interesting to see if they're still going to play these games when Trump is back for his next term. Yeah.
And you know what? There's another story, another organization I have to give a shout out to. They're not as good as the Gateway Pundit, but Breitbart. It's a small group of us, Jim. You got to give credit where it's due that actually report the news correctly. Breitbart's got a piece out that construction workers are reportedly upset with Donald Trump for his deportations that are coming because of cheap illegal labor. That's the other thing, folks, you got to think about. We got to stop normalizing it because it's cheap labor. I think over the last few years, people have probably made more money in their lives with companies and things like that, construction companies and blue collar jobs, than they've made in their lives. Pay the damn money, pay the extra $3 or $4 an hour and hire somebody who's legal. If you stop hiring these illegals to work these cheap labor jobs, you will stop the influx of migration because it's very simple. If these people come here, Jim, and they know there's no jobs for them, they won't come. They'll stay home. They'll stay in their own country. So it's a multifaceted system. But these construction workers, these construction bosses are part of the problem too. Restaurant owners as well. You open the back door of any restaurant in New York City, and it's probably 75% illegals. So these people have to start hiring legal workers. I think that's what it comes down to. Jim, you get the last words here. Whatever you want to say, your message for America, as we're just under 2 months until Donald Trump is back in the White House.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting 2 months. I expect that there's going to be plenty to report on. I just pray that Donald Trump is safe the next couple of months, and that things work out for him and for this country. And I think it's just a godsend that we have Donald Trump again. It really is. And so thank God that here we are today. We're not where we were in 2020 when we were wondering what the heck happened in that election that I still believe was stolen. But we have Donald Trump who's moving into the White House, and it's going to be a great time. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And we're forever in debt to news organizations like the Gateway Pundit for reporting all of that those election irregularities we saw in 2020. I think you guys are going to get probably some more credit where it's due. And we'll say in the next 6 months to a year or so, if what I'm hearing is correct as it pertains to looking back at 2020 and some of the things that went wrong. We'll leave it at that, and we'll leave you guys thinking. Jim Hoft, you're a great American. Thanks for all the great work you do at the Gateway Pundit.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us today. Please be sure to join us back here tomorrow for the Great America Show as our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. See you right back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs.